basically, Deputy Boyd Barrett has mentioned that this trade has now become known as cows for cars, and that certainly seems to be the way it's going. And all the focus has been on the fact that the EU is getting to export industrial goods, and we're getting to import agricultural goods from Brazil in particular, and that's of great benefit to us all, apparently. But, Minister, the Mercosur would be supporting agricultural industry that is partly responsible for mass deforestation in the Amazon, and which does not have the same standards in traceability, animal welfare or food safety that we have here. Now, I know that you've said in previous responses that that's all going to be dealt with and all going to be sorted out and everything will be hunky-dory in the next 2 years, and that'll all be grand. But I don't actually believe you, and I don't think very many people listening into this would actually believe that that's going to happen. You know, for 25 years, environmental scientists have focused on the destruction of the South American forests by ranchers for beef production, with possibly the biggest single threat to our ability to control carbon emissions in the world. And the Guardian last week on the 2nd of July, they talked about the agricultural industry in Brazil and how they're destroying the rainforests, and how one company has been penalised by the Brazilian government and told that they can't export cattle from that farm because they're clearing the forest for the farm. But what do? They move it to the next farm and they sell their cattle from there. And you say that you're going to deal with all this? And you're going to actually stop it happening? I don't believe that you will, and I don't think very many people would actually believe that you will deal with it. So the question is, how are you going to do it, and what is going to happen, and how are you going to do it over the next couple of years?
Mr. Creed.
On the how, I alluded to earlier, but maybe I didn't close out the point adequately, in the context of, for example, market access that we have to other countries. A delegation from China will visit here with a view to approving our systems. I would imagine in reciprocal trade agreements, the FVO office approves establishments for export, and that product is then subsequently at border inspection posts, subject to routine checks that are risk-related in terms of that inspection regime. So we need to make sure, in the context of the opportunity that's there for us, to ensure, in consultation with people like the Food and Veterinary Office, in consultation with people like EFSA, the European Food Safety Authority, to ensure that we construct an ultimate legal text which protects our farmers, levels the playing pitch, and protects European consumers in terms of substandard products. So that's what I think is the opportunity for us, because nobody needs reminding or a lecture on the Brazilian government's approach to the environment. It's well known, and indeed, Deputy Boyd Barrett has alluded to, as many others, the offensive nature of a lot of what happens there and passes for normal. We have an opportunity to ensure that we protect both our industry and our citizens and consumers across Europe from the dangers associated with that kind of a regime, both in terms of environmental standards, human rights standards, animal production standards, veterinary medicines, to ensure that we level that playing pitch in those negotiations. And we use the same processes as a member of the European Union, as the European Union has used against it in terms of negotiations, or against the visit by China. We can use that kind of process to make sure that product doesn't arrive here that doesn't adhere to those. And that's why I see the opportunity, in some respects, in the environmental chapter in particular, but elsewhere also in the context of beef, to make sure that we protect our beef industry and, as I've said earlier and repeated ad nauseum, thwart the ambition of others. Because if they don't meet the terms and conditions, then the deal is dead. Their product doesn't get in here.
Tonight here that your concerns will trump Germany's concerns over the amount of cars that they sell into Brazil. Are you seriously telling us that? Is that what you want us to believe?
Elaborate further on the comment about cars and beef. Just to put on the record that there are approximately 60 companies in Ireland involved in sub-supply to the automotive and car industry and employ in the region of 7,000 people. And these companies range in size from large to emerging players, and in Irish terms, automotive covers a broad range of vehicles, including trucks, buses and off-highway vehicles. And I think it's important to say too that trade deals have been good for Ireland. Now, I know there are issues with this one, but they have been good. And last year, as a country, we exported in goods and services a total of €316 billion worth across the world, and that's an increase of 74% over the last 5 years. Since 2013, we were exporting €182 billion, so we're now exporting €316 billion worth of goods and services right across the world. So we shouldn't forget the benefits that trade deals have brought to this country, and also we've had many benefits from the membership of the EU. So if you think back, sorry. Well, I'll let you.
Sorry. Yeah, well, I don't want to use up Deputy Fitzmaurice's time either, but look, so it's okay. We'll be supplying the wing mirrors for the cars, so it'll be all right. They could do away with the beef trade. That's okay. So.
One voice.
I want to ask you now just what you're going to do in terms of how you're going to make sure that this actually trade, as you say, you're going to make it reflect all our needs, and how you're actually going to enforce that at a European level when it comes down to the crunch. Because I think you'll be back here in a couple of years' time with the same thing, and you'll be looking to endorse it. So, are you going to build alliances with like-minded countries to make a blocking number in the qualified majority voting? Is that what you're going to do? Are you going to build those alliances? Are you going to do that process, or are you just going to rely on goodwill and talking and saying we're going to change it and that's it?
I've been working with like-minded countries, and I have co-signed a letter with the Belgian Trade Minister outlining our concerns about this deal, particularly in terms of the beef sector. But what we will do, we will continue to work with our colleagues in Europe, but just to say we're going to carry out an economic impact assessment, and we're going to specifically look at the impact that this has on our beef sector, and we're also going to look at the impact of Brexit and how that feeds into this. Yeah, so there is a bit of work to be done here. There's going to take 2 years before the legal agreements are signed.
Know that. Thanks,
so we have time to do this work and make an informed decision.
Great. Thanks, Deputy.